Jake. Okay. Hi, Jake. I am Tia from Geek Vibes Nation.
Hi.
I first want to ask, how do I pronounce your last name? I'm sorry.
Yeah, Jarvi.
Jarvi. Okay.
Yeah.
Jake Jarvi, the director of Haunt Season, and I love that poster in the background. So first we have to talk about that, obviously.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So I just wanted to really get that wanted you to see the scope of the cast of characters in the movie. You got like Fear on the main like center area, all the villains on top, all the different costumes on top, and then haunt actors in a variety of like menace or like like defending themselves positions. I just really like the posters that give you the idea like you're really going to see like a wild ensemble happening in this movie. And so I sent that to our poster designer Ben Weeman, and he gave us like four options, but they were all incredible. But with kind of the verticality of this one and like the big skull at the top really draws the eye. I could not. I mean, I had to have it. It was so good.
It is perfect. I kind of want it now, but no.
Yeah,
Uh,
absolutely. You should get one.
it's wonderful. And this is the perfect movie. Obviously, 'tis the season for Halloween. And when I saw the trailer, I said to myself, this is why I don't like haunted houses. But so obviously, I'd love to know what was the inspiration? Were you just walking through a haunted house one day and you were just like, this would make a good horror movie?
I was actually filming in a haunted house one day. My usual job, my full-time job is that I shoot and edit for a music YouTuber
Nice.
in Chicago here. And he was looking for a gnarly place to shoot some music videos. And he knew Steve, who owned the Realm of Terror haunted house where we ended up shooting our movie. And Steve was
Fabulous.
running like a fog machine, a smoke machine for us the day. He was just like hanging out with us, taking us to places in his haunt. And after we wrapped the music video shoot, we were just hanging out, talking horror movies, talking about the early 2000s 13 ghosts, actually. And we were like, okay, so he was like, yeah, we got this place. We make this stuff. You make that stuff. We should make a movie. Let's just make a movie. I was
Uh,
like, okay. And then I wrote a script. And then he was just like, I just called him up and I was like, yo, I actually wrote a script for that movie you were talking about. He was like, oh, okay, well, let's read it. And then it just spiraled on from there. Yeah.
that's awesome. So, when did you necessarily film this? Was that this year, last year?
Yeah, we shot it in the haunt season, the actual haunt season of 2022.
Perfect. Awesome. Kind of at the like tail end, I guess, of everything that was happening. So,
Yeah. It was we still had a lot of COVID compliance in the movie. Like we had to like everybody had to test and mask and everything. So like we were very very it was still the thick of it according to like movie industry guidelines. Like we were a SAG production, like a Screen Actors Guild production. So in order to use people who were union, we had to like really adhere to the guidelines.
okay, cool. And I mean, well, so many of your characters are wearing Halloween masks, so I guess that was kind of easy. Uh,
Yeah.
what's your out of everyone? What's your favorite costume?
My favorite costume.
Yes.
I love them all, but I think my favorite killer costume has got to be the jack-o'-lantern guy. I just think
Yeah.
he's really, really cool. The fact that the mask glows so well in dark spaces is ominous as all get out, and I love that. And then the actor costume, I love Mika's clown costume. Who she is the one investigating her friend's disappearance in the movie, and I don't know, it's just like it's a mix of like playful and kind of creepy, and it's so colorful. It's every time I see it, I'm happy.
I do love the jack-o'-lantern. I mean, I feel like I want to gravitate towards the skull, obviously, but
Yeah.
as someone who grew up and loved Nightmare Before Christmas, the jack-o'-lantern is definitely grabbing me here.
A
So
hundred percent. Like it is the number one for me. It's the number one iconography of the Halloween season is a glowing jack-o'-lantern. It's probably because
yes.
of, the John Carpenter of it all and the Halloween of it all, but like can't get away from it.
No, not at all. So, I mean, what was your favorite part of filming Haunt Season? I mean, it has to be so cool to really bring your script to life, being a part of it. So, I mean, what would you, without spoilers, obviously,
Sure.
what would you say was your favorite part of it?
Well, heading into it, I really thought my favorite part was going to be shooting the gore scenes because, it's that's the action of a horror movie. Like you really get in there, and we were doing the effects practically, so I thought that was going to be the most fun part. But it's really, really suspenseful because with a lot of these gags, you only get one take. So like it takes a lot of time to set up, and then you're waiting to and hoping that everything's going to go right. So my favorite part actually turned out just being watching the actors act. Like, I mean, it's so like elemental that it sounds lame, but when they, getting a couple characters or like even the four main girls in a dialogue scene together and just watching them go at it was the just so fulfilling and fun. They make their characters so fun and likable that it felt like hanging out. And that personality is the thing that I like in the movie even more than anything else, is the personality of the Haunt kids, you know?
I love that. So I would assume that you are a horror movie fan.
Oh yeah.
Just coming, just a sense. What would you say is your favorite horror movie?
My favorite horror movie is the original Scream. Yeah.
That's a good one.
I mean, anybody who's like my age or right around my age is gonna it, it's hard to get away from Scream because it was so just like I was saying right there, like the characters of that movie are so likable. You really enjoy spending time with them. You're not just waiting for the next time the killer shows up. You want to see what these kids are gonna say. They have so many fun conversations and they're so um irreverent that it was more about like the vibes and the people, and then the kills were the bonus, you know?
Yeah.
So Scream 100%. Wes Craven is, I think, the absolute master of my favorite kind of horror tone, which is scary, suspenseful, but also really character driven and engaging, you know?
I mean, I'm right along there with you. Speaking of Wes Craven, my favorite horror movie is the first Nightmare on Elm Street. So
Yeah.
I feel you there.
Yeah, absolutely. He was the master. He was the absolute master of it.
And so what I love what I'm seeing with Haunt Season, right, is just kind of like a fun, gory kind of movie, right? Slasher, blood, all that stuff.
Yeah.
And I don't know how you feel about it. It's okay if you like them, but like the Insidious movies, those just aren't fun to me, right? So I like what we see with Haunt Season. Did you get the sense that the actors were also having a lot of fun with it?
That's part of the best thing about this movie is that like sometimes with projects the personalities don't always line up.
Yeah.
And this time everybody came with just the best attitude. Like everybody came with the best attitude. Like all the like, and we didn't even really have time to do chemistry reads with our auditions or anything. We raised the money fast. We need to get into production right away. From the time we got our budget to the time we started shooting was 2 months. Like
Wow.
we had to go. And so casting people and doing it union, we didn't have the money either to like have even a table read. So like we cast actors off of like one virtual audition, one callback, time to go. So when they got on set together and they hit it off like they'd been friends forever, I was like, this is unbelievable. And it was
Yeah.
that vibe was on camera and off camera. Everybody was just so having such a good time, and the hours were long. So like when you spend that amount of time sitting around, it's nice that you like the people you're sitting around with.
That must have been a huge relief, honestly. It's just like, oh,
Massive,
thank God everyone gets along.
massive relief. Yeah.
um, would you say, and not to like, who is like the huge standout that viewers should kind of like be looking out for in the movie?
Right. Right. Well, for me, there's two I mean, everybody does such an amazing job. I've seen a lot of people in this first like week and the lead up to it, when the people who watched it early, really
Mhm.
gravitating towards um Matilda, our main character, the girl who comes from theater school into the haunt for the first time. She's so natural, and she just brings a lot of like effortlessness to kind of her character exploring this world, that and a lot of charm too. So like people are really gravitating towards Sarah Elizabeth, who plays Matilda. And then we just had our opening night screening in LA. And after that screening, the audience, like watching it with an audience was even better than I could have possibly hoped. like I've seen this movie so many times, and hearing a group of people who had not seen it so many times react to everything we put together was a dream come true. And that audience really responded to Danny. the guy who is in
Mm.
played by Adam Hinkle, who is in the same. He's the one who kind of takes her through the haunt world, and he's in the same room as her, scalping her throughout the movie. But like he's kind of also the haunt owner's like best friend, and he's kind of Kevin Smithy, kind of clerksy. He's got a lot of like he's got kind of like a foul mouth and like a sarcastic attitude. So a lot of people were really zeroing in on Adam Hinkle as Danny too.
I would be a little nervous kind of watching it with a audience. Did you feel that way at all? Or were you kind of like, I've seen this enough times. I know my product's good, so it's okay.
Even knowing how much I loved it and how much I felt like relieved once the whole movie was together, that with the end product that we had, like how much I really enjoyed the movie. Um, you're still nervous, like I was still nervous. And then at like about 3 or 4 minutes in, when the laughter of the audience kind of started to kick in where it was supposed to, like with the character beats and the dialogue, like then I was able to just kind of relax into it and let the movie happen around me instead of worrying about every little thing.
Yeah. Oh, well, that's good, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, obviously horror movies always have sequels and such. Are we planning on doing like Haunt season 2 or anything?
Right. So we have a my wife Eliza and I, she's also a producer on the movie, and
Nice.
she production managed the movie. She did all payroll. She did so much on this movie. But we have been working with a couple buddies of ours kind of outlining what Haunt season 2 would be. And we got to see how Haunt season is received, because like if people want to see Haunt season 2, we got a very fun idea for how to continue this story. And if we are moving on to the next thing, we also got a pretty interesting and unusual version of a camp slasher that we just started
Oh.
working on. And then in completely the other direction, but Halloween holiday, still holiday oriented. My wife and I also did just finish writing a Christmas rom-com.
Oh, very nice. Okay, let's get all the holidays. I expect the
Yeah.
Thanksgiving one as well at some point.
Yeah. Well, you gotta bridge the gap between Halloween. So you gotta come back for Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Then we move to Valentine's Day, 4th of July. You just gotta kind of work your way around like V in the movie, who just has something different for every holiday. That's what we're gonna do.
I I think that's a good idea, honestly.
Yeah.
So I mean, for the people who are going to watch this interview on our channel and everything, let us know like when are we expecting Haunt season? When can people watch it, obtain it, all that fun stuff?
Watch it now.
Yeah.
Haunt season is out now. It is on every VOD platform. So whatever you use, Prime Video, Apple TV, Google Play, YouTube, it's Fandango now, which was Vudu. Like it's everywhere now. Direct TV. Like, yeah, it's just it or was it Dish Network? Anyway, it's wherever you watch, where you rent your movies, that's where you can buy or rent Haunt season.
Awesome, awesome. Yes, it is October, 'tis the season. Let's watch some spooky stuff, but also have fun with it. Jake, before I always end my interviews, I always like to say, obviously for people to go follow you. Are you on socials? What are we doing? Let everyone know
Yeah.
where they can find you.
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram. I'm Janks37. That's not super easy to find if you're just looking for Jake Jarvi. Although if you type that in, it'll probably show up on Twitter, or I mean, whatever it's called these days. That would be Pops Jake Jarvi. And you can find me there on Facebook too. I have a TikTok I don't use, but we watch TikToks, me and my daughter, but I don't upload anything there. So yeah, but most importantly, haunt season. Search haunt season, the movie, and that's gonna be the what I'm most hoping people are gonna seek out after this interview.
Listen, I'm gonna seek out that poster. I'm very serious about that. Oh no.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We'll send you one.
Oh, thank you. But yes, everyone, please make sure that you check out Haunt season. It looks like so much fun. And again, it's the spooky season, so 'tis the time and everything.
Yeah.
Um, Jake, it's been wonderful getting a chance to speak with you. I'm not sure if my 10 minutes are up or not or anything. That's why I want to be good about it.
No worries.
uh,
Yeah, no, this is super fun.
yeah, awesome. And I'm sorry, what'd you say your wife's name was again?
Eliza
Sh-
Tozer is her
Shout out
working name.
Eliza,
Yeah,
obviously.
Eliza forever. This would have been absolutely impossible without her. She's also the one who kind of like still gets the people together sometimes. She'll be like, "Oh, let's meet up here." And like whoever can that night will come meet up, and it's just yeah, I hope it always happens. I just love the people we ended up with, and I hope we get to keep hanging out with them.
I was going to say, are any of the people that worked on this project people that worked on previous projects of yours, or this was just an entirely like new crew?
Yeah, so I mean this everybody who's on the poster is actually pretty new. Steve is actually the guy who plays Bradford, the owner of the haunt, is
Mm-hmm.
actually the owner of the haunt for real. He auditioned for the part of the owner of the haunt and I was like, "Dude, you're actually a really good actor." He was like, "Great. Let me be in the movie." I was like, "Let's do it." And then and Adam was just a friend of mine. I hadn't seen him act before, but he's a great writer and has directed a web series called The Park. And so I knew him from that, and we would watch horror movies together. He was a horror movie buddy. And then he just like sent in his headshot for our auditions, and I was like, "Dude, are you auditioning for my movie?" and and he was like, "Yeah, yeah. If you'll let me." I was like, "Dude, of course." And then he did such an amazing job. I kind of doubted myself. And then so I sent it to everybody who didn't know him, and they still chose him of the top two people who were going to play Danny.
he was
And
trying. He was trying to be official with it, go
it
through the right
was.
channels.
He did. He didn't even tell me he was applying. I just saw his headshot pop up and I was like, "Wait, what?" And then also in the movie, Rob Scallon plays Josh. He's one of the haunt guys who gets dispatched early on. He is my YouTuber that I work for. He's my boss. And so
Nice.
and Craig Benzine is Wheezy Waiter on YouTube. He also plays Seth in the movie. He and Rob, so Craig was in my web series, and then he and Rob are just my YouTube buddies, and they were the first people who were like, if you want to like make this horror movie, we'll back you, we'll vouch for you in your fundraiser video, but also, buddy, we're your first investors. And so they both put money into the movie like right up front, and I was just so I don't know, it's just really, really touching. Like it's just really, really nice that when your friends are willing to do that for you, you know?
I was going to say that had to have felt really good.
It was incredible. And at that point too, I was like, okay, so now this is like now stakes. Stakes are here. I don't want to, not only do I not want to mess up the movie, I don't want to let down my friends, you know?
It's like no pressure, no pressure. But Jake, again, thank you so much for being here with me and everything. I hope everyone watches Haunt Season.
Me too.
I hope you have a very happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween to you.
Have